Hey everyone! With Sword and Shield on the horizon, it's got me to play all the first games in the main series of Pokemon, and now we've made it all the way to Gen 6, X and Y. These games are definitely the ones I've sunk the most hours into. X and Y are awesome games, and this video is going to explain why. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to hear me talk about the first games in the modern era of Pokemon. Released in 2013 for the Nintendo 3DS, Pokemon X and Y are action RPGs, and are the first Pokemon games released in the 6th generation. This was also the first game in the franchise to start off the same day worldwide release that has stuck till this day. Published by Nintendo and created by Game Freak, I think these games were the most anticipated in the whole Pokemon franchise. Playing as either Calem or Serena, you move into Vanderbilt Town in the Kalos region. After hearing about this, the professor asks you and your Scooby gang of friends to come to his lab in Lumiose City. He sends you 3 Pokemon to choose to defend yourself along the way: Chespin, Fennekin, or Froakie. The Kalos region is rich in Pokemon and is home to over 400 unique species, most of which are from past games, with some of them being exclusive to Gen 6. Despite the small pool of new additions, there are so many I like introduced here, such as Dendemille, Phantump, Breaksun, Sliggoo, Fletchling, Skiddo, and Sylveon, to name just a couple. During the main story, you meet Lysandre, a character with a trim that clearly tells you he's the bad guy, who wants the world to remain beautiful, and wishes to purge all of those who do not fit his ideals. Sound familiar? Yeah, this plot is very similar to Cyrus and Team Galactic from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. This one has lore. 3,000 years ago, prior to the events of the game, there was a war where the King of Kalos has a floette and it passes away while fighting. Overcome with guilt, he created the ultimate weapon, which killed all the Pokemon fighting, stole their energy, and was able to revive his Pokemon before sealing away the weapon. So, Lysandre wants to harness the power of some bird or some deer to activate this weapon and kill everyone. But I think we're forgetting to address the elephant in the room here: Mega Evolution. That actually caused Mega Evolution using the ultimate weapon, which splits this game in a different timeline from the rest in the series, which is kind of weird, but you know, whatever. Retconning Pokemon now, I guess. In X and Y, many classic Pokemon got temporary power-ups in battle, such as Venusaur, Blastoise, Lucario, Mawile, and Ampharos. Even Charizard and Mewtwo, who both got 2 Megas for some reason, probably because they're fan favourites, and of course they're version exclusive, so that probably means they wanted to get more people to buy the games. It's dumb, it's petty, but it works. I have both copies of the game. Ay. But nonetheless, you got a new way to play with these Pokemon. Oh well. Let's talk about some of the awesome things they introduce in these games. There are so many new things which are pretty cool in my opinion. Just a few things that they introduced was the game being 3D, new fairy types, you could trade and battle easily using the bottom screen on the PSS, which is so handy. I used that so much, especially back in the day when X and Y was relevant. You can now pet your Pokemon in Pokemon and Me, and even evolve a certain Pokemon, that being Sylveon. Super training made Eevee and Ivy training easy for newcomers and even easier for veterans. The Friend Safari was there to help you get hidden abilities and starters in the wild. PR videos to make a 10-second movie showing off your character. Character customization. That was an awesome thing they introduced. It took them so long, but they finally introduced it, and it's so cool, even if it's very limited, especially for guys. Oh, and Wonder Trading as well, where you send one of your Pokemon and a random person you get matched up with, you trade another Pokemon and you don't know what you're going to get. It's really cool, because sometimes you get a really weird or interesting Pokemon, and then most of the time you just get Zigzagoons. Personally, and I think the fans can agree with me on this, there are way too many characters in this game. Of course we have the 8 gym leaders, but unlike those found in Unova, these guys are bland and forgettable. For most of them, you battle them, and that's it. That's really unfortunate. There are so many characters in these games, but none of them really feel like they're getting fleshed out. Then there's the rivals. You usually get maybe 1 or 2. Nope, in this game you get 4. And then not to mention there's the Professor, Lysandre, his 4 admin girls, the generic henchmen, Xerostic, these two random superhero characters who do nothing in the game at all, AZ, and it's just overflowed with random people you probably don't even care about. These games have an okay soundtrack. There are a couple songs I like to listen to. Not all of the songs are amazing, such as the gym battle theme, and a few town themes aren't very memorable, but the ones that are good, are good. My favourites include the Kalos Power Plant, the Trainer Battle theme, the Champion Battle theme, Route 4, and the Rival Battle theme. Usually, I never talk about graphics, but here I feel it's necessary, as this was the first Pokemon game in the main series to be 3D and not 2D sprites. I think for the 3DS, these models are amazing. If you look at these, the cell shading on them, the Pokemon looks really good. But like I mentioned earlier, not all Pokemon benefited from this. Mainly, Nidoking and Marshtomp. I know a whole bunch of other Pokemon have, but these two are the ones that stick out in my mind the most. Overall, Pokemon X and Y are really good games. I enjoyed them so much. I know I feel like I've just been nagging this whole time about these games, but I truly did enjoy playing them. It was probably the most fun I've had playing a Pokemon game this year. I spent so much of my time in the game going off the beaten path, ranking up in the Battle Chateau, hunting for shinies, playing in Pokemon Ami, customizing my character. Just these little things on the side to make the experience just a bit more fun. And that is why Pokemon X and Y, despite all of the negatives, despite all of the criticism I have for them, are one of my favourites. No, they're one of my favourite video games of all time. Thank you so much for listening and watching till the end. Sorry for the lack of uploads lately. Things in real life have gotten to me and they're a bit more busy than I have been in the past. And I've lost the motivation to make videos recently. So I'm glad you guys have stuck around to watch my videos. I promised to make my Pokemon game reviews, and that's what I'm going to do. Next up is Sun and Moon, and that should come out roughly just before Sword and Shield are released. But until then guys, this has been Gemmo, signing out. Have a good one.